And hello, everyone, and welcome here to Tournament Central as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2023 United States Women's Disc Golf Championships. We're joining you live from Burlington, North Carolina as our FPO competitors face moving day at the regulator in pursuit of the final major title of the season. My name is Wes Murray, and I'll be your host today, and joining me for the coverage will be Brian Earhart once again. And today, our players are dealing with more than the course, Brian. They're dealing with Ophelia, and not the character from Hamlet, but the tropical storm that's been hitting the eastern side of North Carolina over the last couple of days. So tell me, Brian, obviously rain, winds are going to be, a huge thing, but what does it actually feel like being there on the grounds during this tropical storm?
It is really cold. It's in the 50s right now. The winds are 10 to 15 miles an hour sustained, and then the gusts I've read are going to potentially get up to 30, 40, similar to what we saw at Maple Hill. And with that, they're playing in the woods again, so I think the team is going to have to keep a close eye on the conditions of the course. We'll just have to see what shakes up here. But as of right now, it's a rough day to play disc golf, no matter if you're playing recreationally or in a tournament. So whoever shoots the hot round today is going to really have to earn it because it's not prime scoring conditions whatsoever.
Yeah, obviously day one, beautiful conditions. Day two, a little bit of an intensity and wind, a little bit of rain. Today, even worse. But good news is supposedly tomorrow the forecast is supposed to be great. So if people can just kind of get through today, hopefully we're in for some good news. But let's talk about our leader. That's going to be Hannah Blomroos. Obviously, she came into the tournament ranked 10th in the UDIS World Rankings and has multiple top 10 finishes on the year, including at our majors of Champions Cup and the European Open and recently at the MVP Open. First day, she shot 8 down through 17, but had some struggles on hole 18 to finish 6 under par. Took a share of the lead. Yesterday, a slow start, but was able to take the outright lead by 2 strokes, and we got to catch up with her after the round.
It was a very slow front nine. You took 4 bogey strokes, got a great eagle on hole 6, birdie on 9, but then you caught some fire on the back 9. What changed?
Nothing changed. I just hit my lines barely better than on the front 9, and that's the key here.
It was scoring very challenging for everybody today. It was a little bit windier, but it didn't feel that strong. Why was the course playing so difficult?
I don't know. The wind didn't affect on the wooded part of the course, so I have no idea what happened there.
Well, 2 more rounds. Any strategy to clean up the bogey strokes on the front 9, or just same thing?
Same thing, just hit my lines. That's the thing.
I guess as simple as that is, again, she had a slow start yesterday, 3 over par through the first 4 holes, but was able to get the eagle on hole 6, use that to build some momentum, and ultimately shoot a 3 under par. One other thing, Brian, to notice, she is putting very well this tournament, 75% on day 1, 83% on day 2 from C1X, and has put herself in the front-running position. What's your take on her as we head into moving day?
I think she can only go up from here. I mean, even today, she could easily clean up that 3 under par and bring it to a 7. Once you're in the middle of the woods, the tree coverage is pretty solid, so they're not going to get too affected by the rain unless it gets really bad. And the first 4 holes are not terrible holes. I mean, I actually am shocked at the number of players that are taking big numbers on hole number 3. The opening tee shot literally just has to be a simple putter to the bottom of the hill, and I see players taking out the driver trying to bend the corner and making it more difficult for themselves. So I'm wondering if players are going to learn their lessons and clean that one up. Hole 2 and hole 4 are wooded shots, but they're not that difficult. So I think she can easily just throw a couple different shots, like she said, just hit my gaps, and she'll be right back where she needs to be. The putter needs to stay hot for 2 days. When the rain picks up, things start to get wet. It's not fun, but for some players, they actually enjoy when the rain can kind of dry their disc off or clean off some of the oils that kind of pick up on the disc. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for her grip, and it's going to be a weird day out there, that's for sure.
It's going to be a difficult one, too, as hunting her down is Kristen Tatar, who is just 2 strokes off the lead. Obviously, she had a bit of a cold start on day 1, just shooting the 3 under par, put her in a tie for 7th position, put her a few strokes off the lead. But yesterday, despite another slow start, she was able to go 4 under, putting her at 7 under overall and just 2 strokes off the lead. We got to catch up with her after the round.
It has felt such a struggle for some reason for me. I don't even know why. I feel like I don't have the right mindset or focus. Something feels off. So yeah, coming into today, I told myself to turn things around, but then I took a double bogey again, and it felt like the same struggles as I had yesterday. And I mean, I don't know. I was a little bit grumpy on the course, I'll admit. But I mean, I'm here. I'm playing. I'm not going to quit. So I might as well try my best. And whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. And that's all I can do. I feel like there's also something going on with my throwing. It's not necessarily only mental. It's because of my throwing isn't as good, and then it's affecting the mental game. So it's kind of like a mixture of everything. But like I said, I'm here. I'm not gonna drop out. I'm gonna finish the tournament. So I might as well just do my best, and that's all I can do. And sometimes it doesn't work out the way it has been before. And it's hard in that moment, I'll admit. It's hard because I've been used to playing very good golf. So I feel like it's been a bit of a setback taking double bogeys and missing putts and missing fairways. But it's all part of the game. All I can do is just focus on the next 2 rounds, and that's all.
And there's Kristin Tattar just kind of talking through the struggles that she has been facing on the course these first couple of days, the mental battle that is being waged, as that is always something that our players are dealing with out on the course. But she's proven that she can handle it this year, right? I mean, she's obviously the clear #1 player in the world. She already has 10 wins this season, including all 3 majors. A victory this weekend would allow Kristin Tattar to be the first FPO player ever to sweep all the majors in a single season. And I mean, she's still right there in the mix, despite, obviously in that interview and just looking at the scorecard, there's been some hiccups here and there, and she feels like, maybe she's lost some focus at times. But, I mean, she's still only 2 strokes off the lead, Brian. I mean, it seems like she's still doing pretty well considering the situation.
Well, that just shows you how much better she is than the rest of the division, or at least as of late. She's having terrible days on the course that she's deeply disappointed in, and she's in second place, 2 strokes off the lead. She hasn't gone under par yet on the front 9, which is something to take note of. For some reason, the front's been playing tough, and I keep walking through these holes thinking, man, Kristin Tattar should be filleting these tee shots. She has the option of throwing the hyzer flip or throwing the flip-up turnover, or, those long flex turnover forehands. So I don't quite know what it is. I mean, like she said, her throwing might not be up to par right now. She's dealing with maybe a little burnout like the rest of the field is right now, just how many big tournaments there have been back to back to back. But during the crazy wind day at Maple Hill, she shot the hot round and she was like, oh, yeah, I'm right there in the mix. I didn't realize that. That's just how good she is right now. I think these are the days that she can beat the field. Because of how solid she is and how consistent she is, she's not going to try to get too cute with things. When the wind picks up like this, she just stables up, throws low, throws flat, and just golfs out there. So it's going to be a tough day to beat Kristin.
Yeah, definitely is looking pretty solid despite some hiccups here and there. Definitely still very much in contention. Another player who's put herself in contention is a little bit of a familiar face, but one that was struggling a little bit towards the end of the season, but is now making some strides right now, and that's Rebecca Cox. Rebecca Cox, has had some iffy events, her last few events of the year, but she certainly had some bigger moments earlier in the season. And now she's put herself in a prime position on the league card in 3rd place, 6 under par. She, yesterday, Brian, was the only competitor to have a clean card this entire tournament across the first 2 rounds. So a pretty impressive statement. And we got to catch up with her after the round.
I just put myself in position, cleaned up some shots that I threw yesterday. Yesterday was like a really good read of what discs I should have been using, and I think I just made the right decisions today. We did end up feeling the wind a good bit in the woods, more than I thought, and yeah, that really just gets you to focus on keeping everything clean, and I was really trying not to turn my nose up at par out there because I did kind of biff some opportunities that I put myself in, but I just told myself that par is good. It was nice to have Nathan on the bag, someone who can kind of like redirect my focus to what matters in the moment. And yeah, that back 9, I played the back 9 really well yesterday, so it was really frustrating to not get some of those birdies that I got yesterday, but at the same time, I had Nathan there saying, it's all right, you're fine, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
And again, that's the words of Rebecca Cox, who had a pretty good start to the season. 4th at Music City Open, 4th at the Beaver State Fling, had a couple other top 10 finishes, including at Champions Cup. Just struggled the last 5 events of the season, which put her out of contention for the Tour Championship. But again, she's been able to put that all behind her, Brian, going into this major, shooting 2 under on day 1. And again, had the clean card 4 under par yesterday to put her at 6 under overall and just, 3 strokes off the lead. So kind of give me your take on what Rebecca Cox has been able to concoct over these last couple of rounds.
Well, I love the way that she's talking right now. I was actually just having this conversation with AJ Risley before Tournament Central started. It's interesting how certain players talk about having a certain score in mind and being satisfied with a certain score versus just wanting to birdie every hole out there. And I think on certain courses, it's okay to tell yourself, yeah, I'm just going to try to birdie all 18 holes. But out here, par is actually playing not too bad. I mean, the hot score after 2 days is 9. So I think if she can just stay with par, be happy with that, throw a couple of good tee shots on some par 3s and par 4s, and grab some birdies along the way, she's going to shoot way up the leaderboard. I mean, this is a major championship. She has a very, good chance of even taking down the victory if she can stay focused and stay poised on this stage for the next 2 days. She hasn't made a lot of these camera cards this year, so this is her opportunity to shine and showcase all the hard work that she's been putting in.
Yeah, she'll be the lone American on the lead card today, as the final member we're going to talk about is going to be Evelina Salonen, a fellow Finn to Henna Blomroos, currently ranked 7th in the UDIS World Rankings coming into this tournament. She had some, good top 5 finishes kind of early in the year, and recently she came 4th at Worlds and 4th at the MVP Open. Her C1X putting has looked much improved over the last couple of events that she has played, and she put herself in position yesterday. She shot 3 under par to go 5 under overall. It's going to make the lead card here for moving day, and again, just a few strokes off the lead and an excellent thrower of the disc. Kind of what's your take on Salonen's chances today on trying to gain some ground?
You look at the stats, and instantly you see why she's not winning the tournament. She's missed 12 Circle 1 putts this week over 2 days. So nothing else needs to change. She just needs to put the disc in the basket more, and she's going to be dominating the field. If she starts to putt the way that she's been putting recently, especially the way she was putting at Maple Hill, It's going to be a solid day for her out there. But it's going to be live and die by the putter today, and especially tomorrow, the final day, when really I have a feeling there's going to be a few players within the mix taking down the victory here. So there's not much else I need to talk about. She just needs to putt well from Circle 1. That's it.
Yeah, and as you said, she proved that she is capable of that during the MVP Open as well as at the World Championship. So if she can tap back into that, she's certainly very much in the mix. Now, also very much in the mix is some of our Chase Card members who aren't too far off the lead. After a short break, we'll talk about Jessica Weiss and some of the other players out in the field. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
With a legacy dating back to 2001, Sun King Discs has been instrumental in advancing disc golf across Florida, the U.S., and beyond, partnering with and hosting over 500 events, including the famous Throw Down the Mountain. We are dedicated to bringing joy to players from all walks of life. Explore our extensive disc selection at sunkingdiscs.com and enjoy free shipping on orders of $50 or more. Sun King Discs. Believe in a better way.
And remember, folks, if you're watching this show out on YouTube, you can catch the rest of our USW DGC action and more upcoming Pro Tour events live on the Disc Golf Network. Use code USW DGCTC as it appears on your screen at checkout for 20% off your first month. You can scan the QR code on your screen, or you can hit the link in the description to subscribe today. And with that said, now let's hear from Jessica Weiss, who sits on top of the chase card for Moving Day.
The whole goal was just to really just play clean, get off the tee clean, and then, make up strokes. So
a lot of colors on your scorecard, some birdies, overcoming some bogeys. Talk about mentally what it takes to overcome bogeys in the middle of a round. You can't go back, no mulligans in this game. Just talk about that aspect.
So I know that this course is really technical. There's so many trees out here. So one bad hole is definitely going to come. A couple bad holes might come, but you just got to be mentally prepared, buckle down, and focus on the next shot, the next hole in front of you.
And that's, of course, a mentality that will have to be maintained in the conditions being faced today as Jessica Weiss entered the tournament coming in the top 25 on our UDIS World Rankings. Had some big finishes early in the year, 3rd at Austin, 7th at Champions Cup, top 10 at European Open, so has done it at the majors. She has shot 5 under par over the last couple of days to join a tie for 4th, and therefore 4 strokes off the lead. And, Brian, what is it going to take from Weiss today to try to move up that leaderboard?
It seems simple to say, but consistency around the putting green. Just another one of those players that has solid days on the green, and then also some days where nothing's going in the basket, and that's just speaking objectively. We've seen it a few times this year. She just needs to stay focused on the short game. I mean, her throwing is some of the best in the entire division from both sides. And it looks like this course sets up very well for her. I mean, there are just specific courses throughout the year where Jessica always seems to shoot well on, and this is obviously one of them, shooting the rounds that she's shot so far. So for her, it's just keep the same thing off the tee, and hopefully she can put a few more in the basket. And again, another one of those players that has the toolkit, so to speak, to take down a major title, but she's going to have to really earn this one.
I hear you on that one. Now, of course, another player who we know for sure has the tools to get the job done is going to be Owen Scoggins, currently ranked 2nd in the world, secured her first win earlier this season at the Mid-America Open, a silver event, and then shortly after that secured her first elite win at D-Glow. Obviously, injury took her out of World, but she bounced back with a 2nd place finish at the MVP Open. She also fell out of the conversation in this tournament pretty early, but made a quiet comeback on day 2, Brian. She is now in a situation where she's on the chase card. She's within striking distance of the lead, and she seems like she's kind of just being a warrior, pushing through the injuries she's been dealing with, and has been, again, quietly kind of creeping up the leaderboard. What's your take on Scoggins and the moves that she's making right now?
I think she's one of those players that plays very well in bad weather. I think she is very tough mentally. Clearly, for her to still be out here. I think some people want her to just take a nap and just take a rest for a little bit, but she's not going to do that. She's already said that. And the fact is, she's dealing with a serious injury. She keeps rubbing the arm. It's not like it's going away anytime soon. And she's still out here on the chase card at a major championship again. So I think Owen just needs to power through. There's no observations that I can make that will enlighten anybody in anything. She just has to do the absolute best she can with whatever she's given on each individual day, and it's probably not going to be as high of a percentage as other players ahead of her. So we'll just have to see, but I know that she does shoot very well in bad weather.
Yeah, we just know that she's very good at playing within her game. Obviously, she's a threat on the putting green as she leads the season in C1X putting and 3rd in Circle 2 putting. She's also, already scored a couple of wins and has 9 additional podium finishes this year, so the consistency is there, and she's definitely on pace to perhaps find the podium yet again or even greater. Now, another player joining the chase card right there next to Owen Scoggins in that tie for 6th place is going to be Sarah Holcomb, currently ranked in the top 20 in the UDIS World Rankings and sits at 4 under par after 2 rounds. She started the year with a 4th place finish at Waco, was also 8th at Champions Cup, another wooded major. Also did really well out the PCS Open and the European Open this summer, and was 3rd at Ledgestone and 6th at Idlewild. So we know that she can put together big results, particularly in the woods, as she is facing today out at the Regulator. And she's in position, Brian. So what is your thoughts here on Holcomb and her, opportunity to make something happen? As, of course, she's a former world champion. She's a veteran, and, she's putting together something right now.
Yeah, well, I think this course suits her style very well, and I also think that the addition of the backhand to her skill set is going to help her greatly out here. Because we have the winds picking up, it's so hard to just throw with one type of spin and have to deal with crosswinds blowing 30 miles an hour at certain points. So now she's able to at least challenge these winds on all sides, which is just going to add even more to her skill set. There's a few holes that if you were forehand only out here, you'd really be at a disadvantage, but now she clearly has that tool. So if the putter stays hot, short game stays hot, I mean, it's going to be no problem for Sarah. She just got to clean up a couple of those bogeys on the front 9, and hole 10, that's a hole that a lot of people are bogeying. You just got to put that first drive in play. She could definitely clean up even today in these conditions.
I hear you there. So our final member of the chase car is actually going to be none other than Deanne Carey, who sits at 4 under par after 2 rounds to be in that tie for 6th position and 5 strokes off the lead. We obviously saw her with a nice start to the season as well. Top 5 at Waco, 11 at the Music City Open. Also had some top 10 finishes more recently at DDO and the Kansas City Wide Open, and was 13th at the MVP Open just before this event. She's always consistently kind of placed within the top 25 the last few seasons in the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but now she finds herself an opportunity to have one of the best finishes of her career, particularly at a major, if she can keep up this pace. Just tell me a little bit about Deanne Carey's game. I mean, again, she's not someone that we see on coverage a lot, but definitely a player who has the skills to do well, and she's certainly done well for herself so far.
Well, we're back in North Carolina, so this style of golf is perfect for Deanne. This is what she grew up playing, and right now she's only missed 7 fairways. And when you're playing a track like this, that is ridiculous. So she's thrown the disc well off the tee, and that's a recipe for scoring well. The rest, the extra birdie strokes, the bonus birdies, that comes with throwing a spectacular shot. But what we're seeing from the statistics is that she's at least getting up the fairway off the tee. She can easily clean up the approach shots. I think today, if she scores the way that she did yesterday, today, it's going to shoot her up multiple spots on this leaderboard.
I hear you there, as that was Deanne Carey yesterday, getting that 1 under par to put her in that tie for 6, and again put her on the chase card just a few strokes off the lead. And again, Brian, the story of these majors is always about the main characters, the players, but we also have to talk about the setting. And of course, that is this regulator course out in Burlington, which is a newer course, I think, to a lot of people, including these players. But now we have seen it played a couple of rounds. Over the last couple of days, Brian, we've kind of talked through some of the big par 5s out there, hole 6 and 10. But now there's a tricky par 3 that we're going to discuss today. That's going to be hole number 17, a water carry, but also a tight green. Brian, why don't you tell me a little bit about this hole that is really pivotal at the end of your round?
I really love a challenging but enjoyable par 3 as a hole 17. I mean, this reminds me of hole 17 at Winthrop as well. It's your last chance to get a solid birdie without having to work super hard, without having to worry about chance. You're thrown across the water, you're throwing a subtle hyzer flip. You can sneak through the middle section here like Rebecca did, but it's just a nice shot. This is your last chance to grab a birdie before the treacherous 18th, where a lot more unpredictability can come into play. But it's just a good distance. A little bit over 300 feet. As you see, Jessica is throwing the perfect line here, just going a little bit long. There is some OB long and left if you do bleed it short left with something too stable, or you do what Kristen Tatar did in round number 1 and you bleed it long out of bounds. So you still have to control the speed. I just overall think it's a great hole, and I think it's a great hole number 17. I think its placement in the course is fantastic.
Yeah, again, this just kind of shows you the diversity of the regulator course, right? I mean, we've seen, tight corridors, more open spaces. We've seen some of the par 5s that are very attackable for eagle, but we can also see the risk for bogey out there. It's definitely a decision maker's course where I feel like you get those risk versus reward options everywhere, but then you have a hole like this one that's just a straight up par 3 that you just have to execute off the tee late in the round, coming down the stretch. As you said, it's a great placement because it's very birdieable, but you can also get into some trouble. So again, separation, I feel like, has been a key component to this regulator course that we're, just learning about kind of on the fly, right? So I guess, Brian, now that we've seen this course for 2 days and you've gotten to see some of the best players compete on it, do you still have the same thoughts on the regulator that you did at the beginning, as far as it being a great course for FPO that provides a lot of variety?
Yeah, this course is amazing. my opinion, has only gotten more fond. I love this track. The FPO players love this track. I love how it's scoring right now. I love how a good round is not even par. I love how a good round is 6 or even 7 under par. I think that's totally doable. I think a 10 under par is still there if the weather cleans up a little bit and the wind dies down. This is exactly the type of course that we want to see for the FPO division, and I love that over time we're starting to design more FPO specific layouts. We're not just making short tees on an MPO designed hole. So that's why I love FPO specific majors, FPO specific tournaments, because the scoring is appropriate for them and how they throw the disc. So it's just only gotten better over the weekend. I can't wait to see it played today in the bad conditions to see how good even par actually is. And then final day when everybody's hungry for the victory, how it's going to score then.
Good takes there, Brian. We appreciate your insights here at Tournament Central. We're going to bid you adieu, but of course we'll hear from you out on the course throughout the day. We are going to take one last break. When we come back from that, we will have our Chase and Lead cards kicking off, and we will have Terry Miller and Valerie Jenkins bringing you the coverage from the booth. So again, stay tuned, and we'll see you out there on the course here soon.
Looking confident early. That is now 8 straight birdies.
Kristen has nothing to lose.
Tatar from the circle's edge for birdie. The punctuation mark on a dominant week in Emporia. Kristen Tatar, for the first time since 2004, a European champion at the Worlds.
At Discraft, we don't wait to see what the future holds. We build it. The future is in your hands.
Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Down.
Hello, we're Kenna. We're a Dutch growing company. We love plants and we want to tell you some cool things about them. Just like humans, plants can communicate. They can sense when another plant is close. Plants look out for each other too. They warn neighbors about nearby threats by secreting substances. And studies have shown that plants love a good tune. We love and understand plants. Let our passion excite you too.
TeamDiscraft.com. All the team favorites on one site.